Happy Tuesday! Welcome to Tuesday Tales. Let me jump on over. Make sure we're in the right place at the right time and see if maybe, just maybe, that everyone tag will work. Ooh, it does. I'll get faster at this, I promise. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna leave my phone open here and see if maybe, just maybe, it'll also, shit. The yeah, everyone tag worked. Maybe it'll let me see your comments today too. Maybe we can have a real conversation. Anyway, again, happy Tuesday. Welcome to Tuesday Tales. Today, we are talking about your horse picking up on your bullshit. Which, yes, we talk about this a lot because it's so friggin' important. And I think it's not emphasized enough because we as humans don't give ourselves credit for the amount of shit that we pick up from other people and carry around willingly. The stuff that's not ours to carry and how that actually affects us, right? So how does this affect us and how does this affect our horses? When we are carrying emotions for other people, they're still emotions. And what we know about our own emotions is that when we don't process them and we're carrying them around and we're holding on to them for long periods of time, they actually also impact our physical health and our mental health and our, just our overall well-being. Because when we're carrying around emotions that don't belong to us, we are often not recognizing that they're not ours to carry. And just like you carrying a physical load, that is going to wear your body down. And there's no Zoom link. Why? I just realized there's a comment for me about a Zoom link. There's no Zoom link, guys. What is this? I got it. Deleted the comment, I think. Who knows? Anyway, Facebook's fucking weird. So when we're carrying this physical load, if we don't put it down, it becomes exhausting. It changes our posture, right? Think about carrying a really heavy backpack, right? You put that backpack on and you're carrying it, and the first day you're able to hike with it. You're good. We're good. By the end of that day you're tired, but you're good. You're going through day 2 and you're still hiking and you're getting exhausted and you're going uphill. It's an uphill battle, and that bag is just pulling you down, pulling your posture down. And over time, a month later, still carrying that bag, you're now like grandpa hunched, right? Like trying to look up. You can't see where you're going. Think about how that impacts everything that's going on within your body, in addition to just that strain that you feel in your shoulders and in your back and absolutely in your legs as you're going uphill. And now think about carrying that bag, carrying that really heavy backpack laden with lead, with rocks, whatever it is, it's fucking heavy, right? And you come up to this spot where you've got to cross a river. It is a rushing river. It is deep and the water is moving fast and you're exhausted and your posture is less than ideal and you've been carrying this bag for over a month and it's just so fucking heavy. But you've come to a point, you've come to a river and you have to cross it. You have to get to the other side to keep going. What do you think happens when you get into that flowing river? Are you swept away? Are you swept away from your path? Are you then pulled under by the currents and the fact that this bag is so fucking heavy that you just can't bring yourself up above water? Because, guys, when you're carrying that heavy backpack, whether it's yours or someone else's, when you're carrying that and you come up to that river, aka an overwhelming situation, something scary, something challenging, normally challenging. This river would be hard to cross without the backpack, but you're still carrying the backpack. And because you're still carrying the backpack, you can't just cross the river. You get sucked in. You get pulled under. This is a distraction. This is life-threatening. Whereas if you didn't have the backpack, it would have been hard. Would have been a challenge. but you made it across the river. Sure as heck wouldn't have been life challenging, or life, life threatening, I should say, not challenging, right? And so it's the same thing with your horse. And, this is one of those reasons why I don't love standard equine therapy practices, aka like equine assisted therapy, like not massage and modalities for horses, but where horses are used as a part of a healing modality for people. I don't love them because in a lot of those cases, horses aren't asked if they want to participate. They are used. This is the, and I think too, like that the horses choose it, okay, to some extent. But I can tell you that I have met my fair share of horses who feel that they have to earn their keep. Just like you or I, they are people pleasers and they have a fear of abandonment and they have a fear of rejection and they are trying to keep surviving. And that means that they're going to do things, sometimes out of the goodness of their heart, but to their own detriment. Okay, it's not always good for them to do these things. And then nobody comes through and is grateful to them and cleans up the emotional mess that someone else left behind. In other words, we are bringing them rock-laden backpacks, strapping them on and walking away and expecting them to carry our baggage, expecting them to carry the baggage of others. And it's not wrong to ask for help. It's not wrong to go to these amazing creatures they're here on this planet for a purpose, right? And part of that is grounding us, and it is helping us to process, and it is being a mirror for us to see exactly what's going on. But that also means that they are mirroring the fact that we are carrying shit that isn't ours, and we get to ask for help, and we get to help others in return to set down the baggage that doesn't belong to us. When we do this to our horses, this takes years off of their life when we're not coming in and cleaning up the mess, when we are dumping and not acknowledging that they did this for us. And it's really such an easy thing to be able to come in and clear out that unused, unnecessary, stagnant, old, heavy energy that we didn't want to carry. That's why we're crying in their manes, right? We didn't want it. We're like, this is too much. I have this burden that I need to unload, and you bring it to your horse, which is beautiful. And there's nothing wrong with that. As long as you acknowledge, first of all, I know your horses. I know you guys. I know that you're already connected. That's why you're here. You're connected enough to absolutely get your horse's permission. Like, they come willingly. They come to you and they see you're upset and they want to participate in this process. Totally fine. What is your aftercare for that? Are you grateful? Do you express gratitude? Do you send love? Do you intentionally send energy to your horse after you have recovered from your emotional experience, after you've climbed out of the river, right? After you've climbed out of that rushing river of emotion, are you then sending that gratitude to your horse and sending them white healing light and letting them know that that's not their burden to bear either, and we get to both let it go together? Are you doing that? Or are you just walking away and taking for granted the fact that you have this beautiful, magnificent creature that is here to help you and wants to be a part of that journey with you? A big thing that I think we miss is we're so quick to build these connections. And when we build the connections, it's great, but the horses that we choose to build the connections with, a lot of times are not ours from the time that they're full. And we don't know what their past is like, just like they don't know what our past is like. And so we are bringing these two lives, right? Like what trauma you experienced, what trauma your horse experienced, and we're bringing them together. And that gives us so much to bond over. We don't have to understand it. We don't have to know all of the ins and outs and the details of what they've been through for us to feel connected to them and understand them, because we subconsciously are picking up on the mirror, okay? But also, in doing that, we create a relationship on a sandy foundation, because we don't know what their past history is. If we are not diligent moving forward, we end up putting too much on them. And also, wanting to create that relationship just a little bit too soon. Because again, we have to remember that these creatures also, like us, just like us, have emotions that are related to survival. You know, it is crucial that we are not kicked out of the herd. It is crucial that we do not do anything that is going to jeopardize potential rejection. We don't want to be abandoned, right? And neither do they, because they are herd animals. It's scary for us. It's scary for them. We are both community-based species. Even though it seems a little bit harder to see it in people nowadays, it's true, right? It takes a village. That phrase didn't come out of anywhere. Like, it's a real thing. Even if we all have our own houses now, you know, you might not live in a very strong community, but you are made biologically to be a herd animal, just like your horse. Difference, predator and prey, right? And with that in mind, you can't stop being the predator. Like, you are. And sometimes your energy comes in predator strong, and your horse is always going to be prey. Always, always, always. And so when your predator strong energy comes in, sometimes they just shut down. And you accept that that shutdown is their consent to bear your burden. And that's just not always the case. And we all live and learn, right? You know, I think of, you know, Lightning specifically. When I got Lightning, I knew a little bit about what he'd been through. And I didn't lean on him. I had to wait for him to come to me, which he eventually did, but he was asking for help in his, in his coming to me. When he would come and he would want to share space, he wasn't coming to me for me to immediately start giving in terms of like, here's all my emotions and here's all my junk. He was coming to me and asking for relief. And there was a time when I was younger, much younger, where I would have just thought, oh, look at him. He's opening up. He's ready for connection. And I mean, honestly, I'm not sure that he would have come around as quickly as he did after what he had been through, if I was in that same space, if I was in that same energy, because I had to be in a place where I knew that he was asking for help, that he was coming and asking for help. And I think, you know, there's a language barrier here, and we're all learning. And so I think that if I were younger, he would have come to me and I would have confused his approach and request for assistance for approach and consent to cuddle and consent to really just open myself up. And we have to remember that we are energetic emotional beings. And so when we feel comfortable to open ourselves up emotionally to someone, we are also opening energetic floodgates. And so that is something too to consider when you're interacting with your horse. And we're looking at like how they're reacting and you know, how we're giving our stresses to them or taking stresses from them, right? But especially when we're looking at them picking up on our emotional context and what's going on, we've opened energetic doors. And so that can come on really strong, especially, again, coming back to that predator versus prey aspect of things. When you think that they're coming to you in consent for connection, you inadvertently are opening the floodgates of energy. And that can be a lot. And in that overwhelm, again, it can lead to shutdown from your horse. So really, when you're working with a horse that you're not sure of what their background is, or you know that their background isn't great, going right into that, I just want to love you and have this really deep connection and we're going to do all these magical things, that can be overwhelming and too much. And also they don't want to say no because they don't want to risk being rejected and abandoned. And I know that there's some people out there that are like, don't personify horse emotions and blah, blah, blah. I'm using human words to describe something that is species universal. It's universal species wide. They don't experience it the same way we do because they don't have the same emotional intellect and ability to like process things the way that we do, but they feel feelings the way that we do. You will never convince me otherwise, because this takes me back to many moons ago when Audrey was almost 3, maybe almost 4, 3 or 4, somewhere in there. She was tiny. We were at the barn and one of our mares was she had a baby. She just had a baby. It was super exciting. The year before she had aborted. And so like that was awful. And we were, this is at the point where we're like, we really want to, obviously, we always want a live and healthy foal. But for this mare, it was like, this is the end for her. If this foaling is difficult, or if the baby doesn't make it, then she's got to retire, which was fine. She's an amazing mare. And so the baby was not fine. The baby was born alive, but was what is called a dummy foal. Couldn't stand up, didn't have that instinct to suckle, just had some really interesting things where it was like developmentally, like physically looked fine, but developmentally wasn't all there. And the vet came out and tried to tube feed and really get him going. And we made a little harness to help him stand up, because standing up is crucial to development immediately after birth. And, we tried everything and nothing worked. And finally the baby just passed on its own. And it was awful. I mean, as it always is, right? We put a good 48 hours into like 24 around the clock, 48 hours of around the clock care, trying to keep this baby alive, and it didn't work. And so we're all already heartbroken. And, we didn't remove the baby immediately from mom, because we let her sniff it out and understand what was going on, right? Dug the hole, come back to get the baby. And I get emotional every time we talk about it, because it was awful. And especially as a mother, like, I'll never forget her screams. Even though she knew, even though we let her say goodbye in the only way that we can, we took her baby's body out to bury it, and you could just hear her screaming from the barn. Just that awful scream of a mother's heartbreak. And you'll never convince me that they don't feel like we feel after hearing that. And also that they can still have trauma responses, and it can be ingrained in them for a very long time. We see that with abused horses for sure. But also they don't have the thing in the brain. Like in this case, it was sadness, and she was distraught and awful. But it wasn't something that she was continuously replaying in her head and bringing herself back to. She wasn't creating a trauma loop, because their brains don't work that way. However, she actually was put on a trailer within a few hours of her baby passing, to go be a nurse mare for a foal that had lost its mother, and immediately accepted that child as her own and took it in. And like, that was one of those things where it was like, I don't know if a human could have done that as gracefully as I watched her do it. And again, that is because our emotions are different. Not because they don't have emotions like we do, but because their brains function differently, and their emotions aren't, we tether them in. We create neural pathways that anchor in these emotions, which is that backpack that you're carrying that maybe you're not setting down, or you're picking up somebody else's, because sometimes you don't recognize a feeling in your body as being yours or someone else's. And these are crucial, again, because this is going to affect, physical tension and posture. It's going to affect body system function, digestion, and hormone processes, because your emotions are literally attached to hormones, right? Dopamine, serotonin, cortisol, all of those hormones are attached to emotions. So if you are continuously reliving an emotion or picking up some emotion that is not yours, you are impacting your physical health. Obviously, this is also going to play into nervous system deregulation. Like, those are huge trigger words right now in the human world, and a little bit in the horse world too. We get to help our horses learn to regulate, just like we get to learn to regulate, which is what brings me to, if you want to change, one, the fact that you're carrying around someone else's backpack and then drowning in the river because you didn't take it off, because you didn't recognize that it wasn't your backpack, or you want to help your horse and not give them your backpack to carry because they got their own shit going on, right? You don't want your horse to be extra spooky or attitudey or, resent time with you because you're just dumping emotions or giving them more to carry that isn't theirs. Then I highly, highly, highly recommend that you get into Equine Alchemy, Awaken Your Inner Magic, because that is what that program is all about. It is about creating a deep connection with your horse by regulating yourself first. And also playing with, energy work and learning a little bit about that and how to connect in meditative healing sessions to create lasting change for your horse. So I'm going to drop a link for that here in the comments. And yeah, highly recommend. Go check it out. It's available to you now. Go get it. Okay, I'm getting out of here. It's Tuesday Tales coming to an end. So I will see you guys next Tuesday.